Censorship is a pretty controversial topic when it comes to any form of media, but it does happen all the time. Most of the time when something gets localized here in the West from overseas, many things that could be considered suggestive or explicit are replaced or just outright removed. This happens all the time with media intended for younger audiences especially, mainly because some things are just more acceptable in other parts of the world. And to my surprise, there are many instances of censorship throughout the Sonic series, things that were removed to keep a low age rating. So let's talk about the many instances of censorship in Sonic games. But before we get to that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by FlexiSpot, one of the industry's current leaders in home and office furniture. They sell many different types of equipment on their website and other retailers, such as their state-of-the-art standing desks and office chairs. They were kind enough to send me my very own OC1 ergonomic desk chair. Assembly was very simple, as it only took around 5 to 10 minutes for me to put the chair together. I also found that this chair is fully customizable, including an adjustable headrest, armrest, and footrest. And it also completely folds up, making storage easier than ever. And above all, it's just very comfortable with its full mesh seat. Listen, I am constantly sitting at my desk, whether that would be working on videos, music, or playing games. And I think most of you can relate when I say that I do not have the best posture when doing these things. So the extra lumbar support on the FlexiSpot OC1 chair does wonders for my posture. So do what I did and throw out that old dusty office chair you've been using for 10 years and switch to FlexiSpot. If you're interested, head to the link in the description to get your very own FlexiSpot chair, or maybe even some of their other products. And thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. It started happening as early as the late 90s with the release of Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast. There is one slight difference between the Japanese release and the international release of this game. In the Japanese release in Casinopolis, there's a neon cowgirl sign holding a cocktail glass, and when you go up close to it, it starts moaning? Alright then. So yeah, this is replaced in the worldwide release with just a generic sign instead. But through PC modding, you can restore the sign if you want. But even before this, the prototype version of the stage was supposed to have a bunny girl statue instead of the cowgirl sign, but we never got to see that in the game. So yeah, this is a pretty minor thing, but it's understandable why it was removed in other releases of the game, especially with the moaning shit. Like, that's pretty weird to put in a kid's game. Moving on to Sonic Adventure 2, the trial version of the game that was bundled with many copies of Sonic Adventure has one tiny difference compared to the final release. In the trial version, when Sonic is escaping from the gun helicopter at the beginning of the game, one of the pilots says, "What the hell?" But nah, we can't have swearing in our Sonic games, of course, so this was changed to just "what" in the final version of the game. And in the battle release of the game, they censored Rouge's options screen render. And this is far from the only time Rouge had to be censored throughout the series, so keep that in mind. But yeah, just more very minor changes that honestly probably didn't even need to be made. Then we have Sonic X, and I know the title of the video says censorship in Sonic games, but there's so much shit that they censored in Sonic X that I just have to talk about it. Bring in 4Kids Entertainment, the studio that was responsible for many anime dubs in the early 2000s, Sonic X included. But they wouldn't just dub over the show in English, they would also tend to change every little thing that could be interpreted as even slightly suggestive or explicit, and the localized version of Sonic X in the United States has a lot of this. We would be here all day if I went over every little thing that was changed in this damn show, so let's just go over the most notable ones. For one, every single sign in the show that has any text other than English text was just removed entirely. A lot of the censorship in this show had to do with guns, like every gunshot sound effect was replaced with a laser sound effect, and even some of the guns were just outright removed. Any line that included the word die or just any reference to death was removed entirely. Sonic says shit in one of the episodes, so that had to be changed. There's a character named Molly who sacrifices herself by going into enemy fire, but in the dubbed version, she just flies off into the distance. Gerald's assassination was weirdly censored in the dubbed version. In the original, his speech gets cut off by an off-screen gunshot, but in the dubbed version, his speech just keeps going. But it's weird because the gunshot sound effect still plays. I guess they just forgot to remove it. Maria's death was also completely removed, and instead, the show just implies that she got captured by gun. One episode had Eggman building a Statue of Liberty replica but with his own face on it. That scene was just entirely removed from the Western version. When Amy gets possessed by the ghost thing, Sonic knocks it out of her, but in the dubbed version, it just goes away when Sonic shows up. And of course, Rouge's cleavage is censored in literally every fucking scene, god damn it. Again, I could go on all day about how this show was censored, but I'm just gonna cut it there. If you want to read up on literally everything that was censored in the localized release, then hit up the censorship wiki. I'll leave a link in the description. But with Sonic X, I feel like a lot of the things that were censored were a bit unnecessary, especially when a lot of it just feels lazily done with no good replacement. I understand the effort to make it more accessible to younger audiences, but without a good substitute in place of that removed content, many inconsistencies and plot holes arise. But let's get back to the games and talk about the most heavily censored Sonic game, Shadow the Hedgehog. This is a unique case because this game wasn't censored due to localization or anything like that. It was actually because this game was being made with a teen rating in mind. That was until the ESRB introduced the E10 Plus rating halfway through development. So Shadow the Hedgehog was supposed to be way darker and edgier than it already is in the final release of the game, because they had to alter and remove so many things. Swearing was a big part of the uncensored version. Shadow would say what the hell in a lot of the cutscenes, which were all mostly changed to just having him say what in the final release. Sonic was originally supposed to say hate to piss off gun, but that was changed to hate to tick off gun. I don't know why they felt the need to take out the word piss and not damn, but whatever. A lot of the violence was also toned down in the E10 Plus version. There was originally supposed to be a lot more blood. The black arms were also supposed to bleed red blood, but it was changed to green in the E10 Plus release. A gun soldier's health bar was also supposed to turn red when you killed them. And by far, the biggest change that was made in the E10 Plus version was Maria's death. In the final release, when the gun soldier fires the shot, the screen turns white and we don't see anything else. But there's an extended version of this scene that shows Maria flying back after getting shot. That's honestly fucking crazy. What the hell were they thinking? And we can even see this piece of animation in one of the promotional trailers, where it's shown in Shadow's eye reflection right here. If it wasn't obvious already, Shadow the Hedgehog was supposed to be way more graphic than what it ended up being. But I completely understand why it was changed. It's a Sonic game at the end of the day, and I know back then there was a huge gray area between an E rating and a T rating, so I can understand why they were originally shooting for a T rating. But even with that, the E10 Plus rating didn't really change that much with the game. Shadow still uses guns, says damn, and all that stupid stuff, so the core vision is still intact here. However, I would still be very interested in a T-rated beta version of the game if that exists out there somewhere, because there's a good chance that there was a lot more that was removed that we don't know about. Moving on to Sonic Unleashed, there's one very tiny instance of censorship in this game that lies in the opening CG cutscene. Come on, we all love this cutscene, and I've personally watched it more times than I could count. So it is very interesting how this scene was originally supposed to be ever so slightly darker. When Eggman is electrocuting the Chaos Emeralds out of Sonic, you were originally supposed to occasionally see Sonic's skeleton, and the expression he makes when he's trying to reach the Chaos Emerald was also supposed to be slightly more exaggerated. I honestly don't think it was very necessary to remove this stuff, but I guess seeing Sonic's skeleton was a little too much, even though that's a pretty normal cartoony thing to do, but whatever. And finally, we have Sonic X Shadow Generations, and all of the censorship, of course, is within the remastered version of Sonic Generations. They changed a lot from the original game, and I'm not just talking about the rewrite. There were also many changes done to the cutscene animations themselves in order to, I don't know, make it less funny. The main thing here is that they were trying to make Amy seem less obsessive over Sonic. The opening cutscene of the game, where Sonic is pushing Amy back with his hand, was changed in the remaster to have Amy holding some cupcakes instead. And throughout the entire rewrite, Amy is way less flirtatious with Sonic compared to the original game. Her character bio was even altered to remove any mention of her being obsessed with Sonic. The only other notable animation change was that they outright removed the part at the end of the game where Amy slams Knuckles into a tree, replacing it with a slight nudge. Like, why though? And then the rest of the rewrite stuff just makes some of the animations look weird, and those fucking bastards censored Rouge again, god damn it. Say what you will about the changes made in this remaster, but I don't think they were necessary at all. But yeah guys, those were pretty much all of the instances of censorship in Sonic games. It happens way more often than I initially thought. I think it's just kind of symbolic of how different things are seen as okay in some places, but not okay in others. Also, it's interesting to see how even in the United States, they went through the effort of changing games that came out years prior. I guess times were just different back then. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this stuff in the comments down below. Do you think any of this stuff should have been censored? Do you think it all should have just been left alone? I would love to hear your thoughts. But that's all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.